My name is Senior Medic Calax of the Galactic Union's 7th Exploratory Fleet. I have treated wounds from Florian acid glands, performed microsurgery on a Ventuki nerve cluster, and even once deparasitized a queen of the hive mind Zill. I am, by every metric, one of the finest medical practitioners in the Union. And I am terrified of the human Medbay. It wasn't always this way. When the Endeavor, the first human diplomatic vessel, docked with our flagship, the Starlight Reverence, we were curious. The first contact package had described them as omnivorous, bipedal, carbon-based, and classed their world as a Deathworld Category 3. A respectable, if concerning, classification. Worlds like that produced strong, resilient species. We had a few in the Union. The Groks, for instance, from a Cat 4, could shrug off radiation that would liquefy a lesser being. The humans, however, seemed soft. Their ambassador, a female named Eva Rostova, was of average height for her species, with a calm demeanor and a disconcerting habit of baring her teeth in a gesture they called a smile. It was a display of friendliness, we were told, not aggression. It felt wrong. The issue began with the human's aide, a young male named Leo. He was assisting in transferring a cultural data crystal when a magnetic coupling failed. A 300-kilogram storage crate sheared from its moorings and pinned his leg against a bulkhead. There was a sickening crunch, the sound of structural failure. My medical training kicked in instantly. I rushed forward with my trauma kit, my primary appendages already scanning for life signs. I expected to find a pulverized limb, catastrophic internal bleeding, imminent circulatory collapse. For a species from a Cat 3, it would be a race against time to get him into a regeneration tank. Leo, however, was conscious. His face was pale, beaded with moisture. Sweat, I later learned, a primitive cooling mechanism, and he was breathing in sharp gasps. But he wasn't screaming. He was talking. "Okay," he grunted, his voice strained. "That's not ideal. Eva, the manifest for Sector 7 is going to be delayed." Ambassador Rostova was at his side in a moment. "Don't worry about the manifest, Leo. Medic Calax is here. Just breathe." I finally got my scanner to work. The readout made no sense. The tibia and fibula, the main lower leg support structures, were not pulverized. They were fractured. A complex spider-web-like pattern of breaks, but the bone was still in place. The soft tissue was traumatized, but the major blood vessels, while compressed, were intact. "This is impossible," I chirped, my translator struggling with the tone. "The force of impact should have severed the limb." "It's just a broken leg, Doc," Leo said, offering me a pained version of that teeth-baring smile. "Happens." "Just a broken leg?" I trilled. "The structural integrity of your skeletal system is anomalous. My scanner indicates a calcium phosphate matrix with a tensile strength comparable to reinforced plasteel, and your pain response is suppressed." "Adrenaline is a hell of a drug," Leo grunted. "Can you just get this crate off me? It's getting really uncomfortable." It took 3 Groks security officers to lift the crate. As the weight came off, I expected a gush of circulatory fluid. Instead, the limb, already discolored with a massive bruise, another new term, localized internal bleeding, simply lay there. Leo tried to move it and winced. "All right, no walking on that," Ambassador Rostova said calmly. "Medic Kalax, if you could provide a splint, we can get him to our medbay." "Your medbay?" I was aghast. "The injury requires immediate cellular regeneration and skeletal reknitting. My facilities are the most advanced in the sector." "With all due respect," Eva said, her tone leaving no room for argument, "our medical protocols are specific. Leo will be fine. A splint, if you please." Feeling deeply insulted, I applied a sterile field and a quick-setting polymer cast. My scanners continued to feed me bizarre data. His core body temperature was a volatile 37 degrees Celsius. His heart rate, while elevated, was far too slow for a species in shock. And his blood was teeming with microbial life. I assumed it was a catastrophic infection until he explained it was normal. He had more bacterial cells in his body than his own cells. The concept was horrifying. We helped Leo onto a repulsor gurney, and I insisted on accompanying them to their ship. I had to see this medbay for myself. I was certain it was a primitive death trap. I was wrong. It was something far, far worse. The human ship, the Endeavor, had a different atmosphere. Slightly higher oxygen, higher nitrogen, trace gases that my system flagged as potential irritants. The gravity was a crushing 1.02 G. I moved with a noticeable strain, while the humans seemed utterly at home. Their medbay was not the sterile, white, softly lit chamber I was accustomed to. It was a place of stark contrasts. Bright, shadowless lights, surfaces of polished steel, and the tools, so many sharp, pointy tools. A human medic, introduced as Dr. Ares, greeted us. He was older, with gray hair at his temples and a calm, assessing gaze. He looked at Leo's leg, at the scanner data I provided, and nodded. "Clean fracture. Nice job on the temporary cast, Medic Kalax. We'll take it from here." "What is your procedure?" I asked, my recorder appendage extended. "Do you use sonic knitting or cellular induction?" Dr. Ares gave that same teeth-baring smile. "Something like that. We're going to set the bone and put him in a cast. He'll be on crutches for a few weeks, then physical therapy." My carapace rattled in shock. "Weeks? The bone will fuse incorrectly. There will be massive scar tissue. The muscular atrophy alone." "Human bodies are good at healing," Dr. Harris interrupted gently. "The process is messy, but effective. Now, if you'll excuse us, this is going to be a bit visceral." I refused to leave. As a senior medic, I had a professional duty to observe. Dr. Aris shrugged. "Suit yourself. Just don't get in the way." What followed was the most barbaric medical procedure I have ever witnessed. They removed my clean polymer cast. Then 2 assistants physically pulled on Leo's leg, using manual traction to align the bone fragments. I could hear the grating sound through the air. Leo, meanwhile, was given a small piece of wood to bite on and told to breathe through it. He was fully conscious. Once the bone was set, as they called it, they applied a different kind of cast, a fibrous bandage soaked in a weight paste that hardened in minutes. It was archaic, it was brutal, and it was then that the second incident occurred. One of the assistants, while cleaning up, brushed against a sharp instrument tray. A scalpel, a literal sharpened piece of steel, nicked her arm for. A line of crimson welled up. I rushed forward with my dermal sealer. "Hold still, I will seal the wound." The assistant, a young female named Chloe, laughed. "It's just a scratch, Doc. See, it's already stopping." I looked. The flow of blood was indeed slowing, coagulating on its own in a matter of seconds. Before my eyes, the tiny vessels were constricting. Within a minute, the bleeding had completely stopped. "Your circulatory fluid doesn't have rapid clotting agents?" I asked, bewildered. "It just does that by itself?" "Platelets," Dr. Aris said, not looking up at his work on Leo's leg. "They rush to the site and form a plug. The body then starts rebuilding the tissue. It'll be healed in a couple of days." "A couple of days? For an open wound? The risk of infection is astronomical." Their body treated a simple cut as a breach in the walls of a castle, and it mobilized a miniature army to seal it within minutes. I felt a cold dread seeping into my carapace. I had treated Leo. My instruments had been in contact with his bodily fluids. I had been breathing the air in their medbay. I initiated a full Level 2 decontamination protocol on my entire medbay and myself. The ultraviolet lights hummed, and chemical sprays coated every surface. My assistant, a young Florian, looked at me in confusion. "Senior Medic, is there a biohazard event?" I am not sure," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I have been studying the humans." "The Deathworlders? Their pathogen load is high, but our systems are designed to handle—" "Handle what?" I interrupted. "Handle a common virus? Their bodies don't just handle pathogens, they declare war on them. They engage in scorched earth tactics. They have weapons of mass destruction built into their very blood. What if one of their common, harmless microbes encounters our biology? Our immune systems are polite border guards. Theirs is a standing army that shoots first and never asks questions. A human cold virus could be our Black Plague." The Florian's frills flushed pale. The implications were staggering. My console beeped. It was an alert from the ship's internal sensors. There was a minor, localized failure in the environmental controls for the diplomatic guest quarters, the section housing the human delegation. The temperature had dropped by 5 degrees. A standard automatic maintenance ticket was generated. And then I received a direct comm from Ambassador Rostova. "Medic Kalax, sorry to bother you. Our quarters have gotten a bit chilly. Leo's feeling a bit under the weather. Nothing to worry about, but his body is fighting off a minor bug, and the cold isn't helping. Could you have someone take a look at the thermostat?" A minor bug. His body was fighting a war, and the ambient temperature was a tactical disadvantage. I opened a ship-wide channel, my voice cracking with the panic I could no longer contain. "This is Senior Medic Kalax. I am declaring a biohazard alert level 4. All personnel, evacuate the diplomatic sector immediately. Seal all bulkheads. Activate full environmental quarantine. No one goes in or out." Over the comm, I heard Yiva's confused voice. "Medic, what's going on? It's just a little cold." The ship descended into controlled chaos. Klaxons blared. The deep thrum of emergency bulkhead sealing echoed through the hull. The Grok's security team, encased in their full combat armor, took up positions around the diplomatic wing, their heavy plasma casters held at the ready, though what good they would be against a pathogen, I didn't know. Captain Vixlor himself was on the comm to me within seconds. "Kalax, explain this alert. Are the humans hostile?" "Worse, Captain. They are contagious. One of them is exhibiting signs of an active immunological response, a cold." "A minor respiratory ailment? You have triggered a level 4 biohazard for a sniffle." "You don't understand, Captain," I pleaded, pulling up the data on my screen and projecting it to the bridge. "A human cold is not a single entity. It is one of hundreds of rapidly mutating viruses. To them, it is a minor inconvenience because their immune system is a battle-hardened veteran of 1,000 such wars. Our immune systems are naive recruits. We have no memory cells, no strategic reserves. If this virus crosses the species barrier, it won't be a cold. It will be a pandemic. It could wipe out the entire crew. The data streamed to the bridge, diagrams of viral replication, the hyper-aggressive human immune response, the estimates of mortality for a Union species with zero immunity. I saw the captain's frills flatten against his skull in horror. "By the progenitors," he whispered. "Maintain the quarantine. No one enters or leaves. Medic Kalax, you are in charge of this situation. Find a solution." I was now the commander of a biological containment zone, and the inhabitants were my patients and my prime threat. I established a comlink with the human quarters. Ambassador Rostova's face appeared on screen. She no longer looked amused. She looked stern. "Medic Klax, this is a profound overreaction. Leo has the sniffles, a runny nose, a slight cough. It's a common rhinovirus. It's harmless." "To you," I insisted. "Your definition of harmless is predicated on a biological reality that does not exist for the rest of us. Ambassador, your very presence on this ship is a potential extinction-level event. Please, you must contain the pathogen. What are his symptoms, precisely?" She sighed, a human exhalation of frustration. "His nasal membranes are inflamed, producing excess mucus to flush out the virus. He has a slight fever. His body temperature has risen to 38.5 Celsius to inhibit viral replication. He's producing cytokines, which are causing some minor achiness. That's it. His body is winning. It will be over in a day or two." Every word was more terrifying than the last. A self-induced fever, inflammatory responses, chemical warfare, and she described it as if she were reading a weather report. His bodily fluids are now a biohazard, the mucus, the saliva. They must be incinerated. You are to remain in your quarters. We will deliver supplies via a sealed robotic cart. "Unacceptable," Eva said, her voice cold. "We are diplomatic envoys, not prisoners. This is a violation of a dozen interstellar accords. And your biology is a violation of common sense," I shot back. "Ambassador, until I can be sure there is no cross-species transmission risk, this quarantine stands." For the next 24 hours, we monitored them. Leo's minor fever would have put any other species in a medbay on life support. His body was a furnace, burning energy at a prodigious rate to fight off an enemy we couldn't see. We took samples from the air vents leading from their quarters. We found traces of the virus. Our biofilters were capturing it, but the sheer viral load was alarming. Then the crisis deepened. My assistant, the young Plorian, began to complain of itching in his respiratory sphincters. His core temperature dropped by 1/2 degree. He was becoming lethargic. My worst fears were being realized. The pathogen had breached containment. I isolated the assistant immediately. His symptoms progressed with terrifying speed. Within hours, the itching became inflammation. The inflammation became a full-blown respiratory collapse. His body, unable to regulate the inflammatory response, was essentially drowning in its own fluids. Our anti-inflammatories were useless. The human virus was triggering a catastrophic chain reaction his biology had no way to stop. We put him in a medical stasis pod, but the damage was done. The virus was in our system. Panic began to spread. 2 Ventuki engineers reported similar symptoms. Then a Grox. The Grox, a species from a Cat 4 Deathworld, laid low by a human sniffle. I was facing a mutiny. The crew was terrified. They saw the humans as walking plague carriers. The Grox commander demanded they be jettisoned from the airlock. I had to talk to Dr. Aris. I suited up in a full Class A hazmat suit, the kind used for exploring toxic worlds. I entered the decontamination airlock leading to the human quarters, my heart's pounding a frantic rhythm against my carapace. The inner door hissed open. The atmosphere was warmer, more humid than the rest of the ship. It felt heavy, oppressive. Dr. Aris was waiting for me, arms crossed. Leo was on a couch, wrapped in a blanket, looking miserable but alert. He was holding a box of tissues, periodically bringing one to his face and expelling air and mucus from his nasal passages with a forceful, disgusting sound he called blowing his nose. "Medic Clax, I see you have come for the occasion. My assistant is in stasis. 3 other crew members are showing symptoms. Your minor bug is killing my crew." Dr. Aris's expression softened from anger to a grim understanding. "I was afraid that would happen. Our apologies, truly. We are so accustomed to our microscopic ecosystem that we forget how potent it can be." "Potent?" I gestured wildly at Leo. "He is a walking biological weapon. How do you survive your own planet? It must be a charnel house." "It is," Dr. Aris said simply. "Every day, from the moment we are born, we are at war. Our bodies are the battlefield. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, it's all teeming with life that sees us as a resource. We don't have sharp claws or impenetrable hides. Our evolutionary advantage is this." He tapped his own temple. "And this," he laid a hand on his chest over his primary heart. "We are stubborn, we are adaptive, and our bodies are relentless. We don't avoid the fight, we win it."
"But the cost," I cried. "The suffering, the mess." "It's the price of being human," Leo said, his voice nasally. "You get used to it. This sucks, but in a day or 2, I'll be fine. My body will have added this virus's profile to its permanent records. I'll never get sick from this particular strain again." The concept was both brilliant and monstrous. A species that turned every illness into a vaccination. "We need a solution, Doctor," I pleaded. "Not a philosophy lesson. My crew is dying." Dr. Aris nodded. "The problem is the inflammatory response. Your species lack the regulatory mechanisms to shut it down. Our bodies know when to fight and when to stand down. Yours only know how to fight, and they don't know how to stop. We need to give them the stand down order." "How?" "Let me see your patient." It was the most dangerous medical decision of my life. I was going to let the source of the plague treat its victims. We went to the sealed isolation ward. My assistant was the worst. Dr. Aris, still in his simple cloth uniform, examined the bio readouts. He didn't use a scanner. He just looked. "He's drowning in his own immune response," Dr. Aris murmured. "We need corticosteroids, powerful anti-inflammatories, and we need to suppress his immune system." "Suppress it? But the virus will run rampant." "It's already running rampant because of the immune response," Dr. Aris explained calmly. "It's a cytokine storm. The virus isn't killing him, his body's panic is. We calm the panic, we give his body a chance to catch its breath. It's counterintuitive, but it's the only way." He prepared an injection from his own medical kit. It was a human pharmaceutical. I had no idea what it would do to a Plorian biochemistry. "I cannot authorize this," I said, my appendage trembling. "Then he will die in the next 6 hours," Dr. Aris said, his voice devoid of malice, only fact. "Your choice, medic." I looked at my assistant, his breathing shallow, his body struggling against an enemy it was programmed to fight, but with weapons it didn't know how to control. I thought of the human body, a master of controlled, ruthless warfare. I had to trust the master. "Do it," I whispered. Dr. Aris administered the injection. For the next hour, nothing happened. Then slowly, the intense inflammatory markers on the bioreader began to subside. The Plorian's breathing grew less labored. His body temperature stabilized. It was working. He was using a human weapon to fight a human problem. We repeated the treatment with the other infected crew members. The results were the same. The storm was passing. The crisis lasted 3 days. My assistant and the others survived, though they were weak. They would require a long convalescence. They had, in a sense, been veterans of their first skirmish in the human war of life. The quarantine was lifted. The fear on the ship, however, remained. A summit was called in the captain's ready room. Captain Vixlor, Ambassador Rostova, Dr. Aris, and myself. "Ambassador," the captain began, his voice weary, "your species presents a unique challenge. Your very biology is incompatible with the sanitary standards of the wider galaxy." "We understand that now, Captain," Ava said. "We were naive. We thought our medical scans during first contact were sufficient. We didn't appreciate the dynamic nature of our relationship with our microbiome." Dr. Aris spoke up. "We need to establish new protocols. Any human wishing to travel on Union vessels must undergo a full health screening and be certified free of any active infection. We will develop a list of childhood diseases that we are immune to, but which are considered high risk for you. Any human showing symptoms must report to a joint medical team for containment and treatment." "And our Medbay?" I asked. "You called it a Biohazard Zone." "You were right." "Your Medbay is a clean room," Dr. Aris corrected gently. "It's designed for a universe of fragile beings who have never had to fight for their lives on a cellular level. Our Medbay is a triage center on an eternal battlefield. They are both necessary, but they are for different kinds of wars." The captain nodded slowly. "So be it. Henceforth, the human section of any joint facility will be designated a biohazard zone, not as an insult, but as a statement of fact and a warning."